continue what we started yesterday. So the migration of the forks button to be a view application instead of being added in Haml. We left off basically having almost completed the view application initialization, so we can now start try to get the forks button to show as it was before. So let's see GitLab UI, because I don't remember which components we can use. I think we can use button groups. Yeah, so let's do this. Groups, and I have to initialize that. Oh, I never remember how to. This way. Yeah. Okay. Group. And let's see the documentation, because I never use that. Okay, vertical false. Oh, simple enough. Okay. Okay. Yeah. You can do works. See how it's rendered. Because I did.
Something's changing.
Yeah, it did change, but I forgot to import the button
itself.
Yeah. Okay, much better now. And this does nothing because we want it to don't do anything, and that's good. I don't remember how. Okay, so we should display an icon. And which icon is this one? This is the S16. I think that's the fork. GitLab UI icons. Icons. Is it GitLab SVGs?
Yeah, that's the repository.
And we have the preview. Perfect. Fork. Awesome. How do I add an icon to a button? Button. Icon button. Perfect. Icon button. And I just have to do this. So icon.
That was just fork, yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
Nice. So now we can add another button. The default size should be medium, so we can remove that. And this one should only display the account. Nice. And no one can tell the difference between that and this. Perfect. The only difference is that when you click this one, it does this. And we actually want to customize that because the original idea, the original reason why I wanted to change the fork button to be a view application is to change this and basically make it a drop down to show the list of forks that the user has access to and
Makes
the
sense.
button to create a new fork. So I think we could try to do that because we do have GraphQL endpoint to get the list of brand forks the user has access to, because Lee added that. So let's
What I would say
yeah
is if we approach this iteratively with an MVC,
yeah
get a git commit in now so that you've got the same functionality.
yes yeah, you're right, but I'm still going to find that MR from Lee because I want to see the code to open the model to show the current forks, because right now to be honest, I don't know why it's asking me to fork this project because I have that fork locally. I should be able to see more forks. But there's a strange condition when basically you have access to more than one fork. It used to show the create new fork page instead of the list of forks. So let's see if I can find the MR that Lee added. No. Yes.
Be right back. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So it's different. Okay. Okay, so I was sure that Lee actually changed how the fork button behaved. Instead, he only changed how the web ID, no, not this one.
yeah, it was the button when you try to edit something in the web IDE, and that offers you the forks that you have available. That was all he changed. I don't think he changed the actual fork button up top.
Yes, exactly. So in order to have the same behavior that we had before, I'm going to uh, I'm going to recreate this. Let's see, because before it was basically creating. So if the user had already forked the project and it has less than two available namespaces, this will have a link to one page. Otherwise, so this button goes to the page with the list of forks, and this button actually forked the project. So I think this namespace project path. Link to new project fork path. God, this is too complicated to what it should be able to do. Okay, so starting from the simplest one, project forks path is the gets the URL to the page of the forks of the project, but this is exposed from. So we are in HAML, so we have access to these kind of functions because they are exposed via grape, I guess. But
just internally in the rendering engine. That's it's like
yeah,
internal API stuff.
so I think that we can the simplest way is to add a new property to pass down to the new component so that we have the link to the forks page. Okay, and the button should now be a link. Does GL button have a way to set the link button? So we can link button. Oh, simple href. Perfect. This is now a link and it works. And I actually think we could do the same for the forks button itself to create a new fork, because so we have the disable tooltip. Disable tool. We have two options.
Yeah, so just saying quickly, I've learned how to use that GitLab UI site now. I've tried to use the thing in the past, and I never actually noticed that docs was a separate item under the things.
Yeah.
So I got referred to in one of my MRs to use a specific component, and I was linked directly to the component.
Okay.
So I was, for instance, looking at I don't know, loading, like let's just say example like loading buttons. So I'm busy looking down the left hand side on the nav menu there.
Yeah.
There's like loading buttons. So on here I was looking for how do I get this code? How do I make this work?
Yeah.
I'd never actually realized you had to then go from here to docs to then find loading button under the docs to get a code snippet. Because all I wanted to see was a code snippet, and I couldn't get the thing to show me a code snippet at all. That's actually already demystified some of the UI stuff for me. So
Well, that's good to know.
at least I'm finding some value in being a rubber duck then.
Okay. Okay. So we have. I'm almost tempted to just replicate the behavior, passing down the values, the link, and whether or not the user can fork a project from Ruby down to the component. So the component is kind of dumb, at least for now, to just really have an MVC that basically shows the exact same stuff that we currently have on master.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would do as a first pass, so that it's it also becomes easier to review that way, because now you're not trying to look at what the new functionality is. It's just simply here's what it was, here's what it is. It looks the same, it renders exactly the same, it does the same stuff, but now it at least gives us some expandability down the line. And
Yeah.
then you add functionality with a separate MR.
Oh, okay. And there's also, oh god, and there's also a different tooltip shown for a different reason. So I think this logic we could recreate it on the view component itself, just passing down whether or not the user can fork a project, and if they can't, uh, tell the component why. So basically tell it if the user simply cannot fork the project or cannot create a fork. Yeah. So let's do that. So in Haml, uh, do you know how to declare a variable here in Haml? Because I know that you can also write some logic. Oh, I think this is.
Yeah, just like that. Anything starting with a single dash is anything after the single dash is pure Ruby. So whatever you can do in Ruby, you can do after a single dash.
Okay, okay, perfect. So this is can read code is used to create this one only to disable the count class, because if you can't read the code, you should not be able to go to the forks page.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm almost tempted to just pass down can read code. And then what was it? Can create fork. Can create no, because we have two conditions whether oh, geez. So new fork enabled, and this is true if title class not sprite icon. So if the user has already forked the project and it has less than two forkable namespaces, this will, oh, okay. So this is a redirect to the current, to your fork. Okay. Okay. Fork. So is if we do so this will set the user fork URL variable only if the condition is true, right? I always mess up this stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Then we want to know whether or not the user can read the code so that we know whether or not we want to show to let the user click the forks count button. Woo. And then we have the link to the new project, new fork. Okay, so new fork path. And we have to know if the new fork is enabled. The new fork is enabled if the user can read the code, I guess. New project path, button class disabled if disabled tooltip. Disabled tooltip is this one. Oh, this is a very yeah, if the user cannot fork project or cannot create a fork. Okay, so we can create a fork. And whether or not the user can actually create a fork. Can fork project. Okay. Let me go to a new line in Haml. Like break it down like this.
Okay, so that's how we inject the information from Ruby into the Vue component. Is just by
Yes.
popping this data little structure here.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, we do this from Haml. We provide this data attribute.
Yeah.
And then when mounting the component, we get
just-
the data set.
Okay, so we effectively import that into the component, and then the component can work with that stuff internally.
Exactly.
Cool.
We do this.
You'll turn me into a Vue, someone who can at least understand Vue first, and somebody who can eventually write Vue at some point. I just got to, suppose, stare into the abyss for long enough. Oh, and then it likes doing things a different way, of course.
Yeah, well, actually, when you start doing stuff in Vue, is very much easier than doing it in Haml. At least I find it easier.
Just stay away from doing front-end things, and then it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Until you're digging down the abyss of GraphQL.
Yes. Okay. GraphQL is, yeah, it's very powerful, but sometimes very frustrating. And we code the. Let's do this. Try it out. Okay. So this should be disabled if is it disabled? Button disabled. Yes, disabled when the user cannot read code. And it is. But I should be able to read code. So why is it disabled? Forks button can read the code. Oh, yeah. For Booleans, we have to do a little trick. What was it? Boolean. Whew.
.js or .vue?
No.
Oh, so you're in a JS now. Okay.
Yeah, and I never remember how to convert the boolean. Where did we use that? I used it in here. I did not. Where did I use that? I don't remember. Parse boolean. No. Yes, parse boolean. Yes, definitely parse boolean. Okay. So this one is this can read code and can read fork as well. And that's still disabled. Can read code false. Nice. Can read code.
Do you want to just change our image layouts, because I didn't see what you were seeing there, because our
Oh, yeah. It's in here.
Yeah.
Like this.
That one works. Yeah. Cheers.
So can create fork, a can read code is false. Fork URL, but it's not. Maybe I did not refresh the page. No, that's not it. User fork URL, that one. I am providing that. So I wonder if there's something wrong with this. No. User fork URL. User fork URL. Why? Oh, okay. No, that's right. But can read code, can fork, can create fork. Can read code, can create fork, and can fork. Yes. Ah, da. Come on. Forks. That. This is always empty. Why is this empty? The data is not getting provided. Why? Can create fork. Why is this not being set to true or false? So if I go to the alert settings, this is providing create issue on the element, and the element is settings. Ooh. Alert settings. JS settings. Here, data, alert settings, data. Ah, this is another rabbit hole. Oh, Boolean values are passed as strings. Is there a way to convert a Boolean value to string in Ruby? US, maybe?
Um, there must be.
Let's see. See what this does.
No. You've got to do it with like a ternary operator.
A ternary operator?
So like, which one's your, where's your thing that you're trying to turn into a string? So, okay, so go to your, where you create that can read code.
Okay.
So can whatever, then after that bracket, okay, space question mark, space, true in quotes.
Oh, okay.
False in quotes.
Okay.
So then can read code effectively as a string, not a boolean.
But doesn't... Yeah, the 2_s does the same. Like I have the variable, and this is converting the true or false to a string true or false.
Okay, does that do it that way?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it works the same, basically. Okay.
Yeah, that does exactly the same thing. So yeah, 2_s is
Perfect. And in fact,
testing that in a Ruby interpreter.
yes, exactly. In fact, now the button is enabled. Perfect. Now, we have the button enabled, and we want to change the behavior of the fork. Because if user fork URL is valid, then we have one thing to do. Okay, so dead button URL. This is going to return user fork URL. If it's valid, because that's valid only when only when the user can actually go to a fork, to its own fork. User fork URL. Can code is provided. Can fork project is provided. Okay, have all of those. But we are missing the new fork URL, which is new fork path, new project fork path for the project. Okay. So the URL is, where is it? Here. New fork URL. Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the URL, the fork button URL will point to the user fork URL if that's provided, otherwise the new fork URL. And fork button disabled, this is disabled if the user cannot read code or if the user fork URL is empty and the user cannot create a fork. No, simply cannot create a read code or cannot create a fork. So here is and new href. And I'm almost at time as well. So this is now pointing to the new fork. And this is pointing to the, okay. If the user cannot read code, their bot disabled, and that's okay because we can't create a fork or go to the list of forks. If the user can read code but cannot create a fork, this should be enabled because it cannot create a fork, but it still has its own fork.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit different. So user fork URL. So the button to be disabled, we have to both don't have a user fork URL and not have the read code or create fork permission. Oh, this is intricate.
Just go back to that.
Yeah.
If you, those two, the not this can read code, this, if you changed those, if you negated those, so made them normal and put an and in between, I just always find positives easier to read than negatives.
Yes. But
No, that's not going to do it, hey? Because that's okay. So sorry, just where you were.
Maybe it's easier if we do fork button, so it's enabled when the user has the fork URL, or if it can read code or create a fork.
Yeah, and then in fact you don't even need the brackets then if you've just got
Yes.
3 chained ORs.
So, and if we negate this one, it's simply like this. Or is it? Oh,
So you can just return.
because it would be like this.
Yeah.
So it's an, if we remove the not, it's all and.
Yeah, so you could just return not enabled there.
Yeah.
Or is that bad
Maybe it's
JavaScript?
I think it's kind of bad, but it's easier to understand. Yeah. Okay. And this is pointing to the new fork because I can read code, but I cannot create a fork. Ah. I wonder if I cannot read the code, can I create a fork?
Cannot read the code, can you create a fork? No. Why would you be able to?
Yeah, exactly.
You shouldn't be able to. If you can't read the code, you can't create a fork of the code because creating a fork of the code would then give you read access to the code elsewhere.
Exactly.
And in
So
fact, if you're using, there is a thing where you can customize guest users to give them read access to code, but you don't actually want to give them fork access to code because they only have read access in the browser. They don't have like clone access.
yeah. Can fork project and can I'm missing one condition. This is I have to think about this one. It's too complicated. We have to simplify things.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't have time to do it today. But still, we made it a little bit.
I think there's definite progress been made. It's just a case of getting that
Yeah,
right a bit sort of.
yeah, it's that fork button that, in my opinion, it's doing a little bit too much because it redirects you to your own fork if you have one and don't have access to more than two namespaces. It points you to the new fork page if you can create a fork, but if you can't create a fork, there are different reasons why you can't. So it's showing a different tooltip based on those conditions. It's a little bit too much, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's push these changes up so we have a starting point, and then I'll go farther to try and understand better when and how to disable that fork button.
Cool.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's just commit these changes, which are recreated layout, not behavior, because that's not working yet. Commit and push. Okay. So for today, that's it for me because I have to go. But let's see, maybe tomorrow, if I have time, we can try and do another stream
Yeah, no
to
worries.
move this forward. Okay.
Great.
Thanks a lot for joining.
No problem. Thanks for teaching me some things about Vue and components.
Thanks for being a good rubber duck.
No worries. Alrighty.
Bye bye.